Ready?
I'm ready.
Do it. Three 57 Productions is pleased to present a special interview with the man, the myth, the legend, and one of our biggest Masonic heroes, Brother Rob Hurd. Brother Hurd is a member of Enlightenment Lodge number 198, East Denver Lodge number 160, Lodge of Livingstones 4957, UGLE, and also an honorary member of Wilkerson College Lodge number 760. He is the editor and owner of Livingstones Magazine and editor and author of the Initiatic Experience. Good morning, Brother Rob.
Good morning, fellas.
Hope I didn't butcher that too bad.
No, great.
How are you today this great morning, Brother Wallace?
I could not be much better, buddy.
And on sound, we've got the man in the back, Brother Sean Brown.
Doing great.
Looking good back there. Sounds good, too. Before we get started, we'd like to thank the guys here at the tractor shed. They come in this morning. They were off today, but they did come in, made a special deal to come in and cook breakfast for us, and it was awesome. I don't know about you, Brother Rob, but it was pretty awesome.
Fantastic.
So with that being said, we'll get started again. We're very excited to have Brother Hurd here this morning. He is a big inspiration and rock star status for us. So we talk about him almost every show, so we are super excited to have him here today to do this interview.
My pleasure. You guys are killing me with this, so. Rock star. We finally got him here. We tricked him into coming here.
That's right.
On the pretense of doing some Masonic education for him, and we got him here, and he said he wasn't going to do the podcast, but we've held him down, and we rubber hosed him and waterboarded him, and we finally got him to submit, him into
now
submission.
We've got VIP status. So.
First one ever. I usually turn all these things down because I don't like to talk much, but you guys twisted my arm, so here we go.
Yeah, they just don't know the secret. You got to kidnap them and not give them a choice. They were asking, we were just telling, isn't that right? Is that the way it went, Riley? That's it.
In all seriousness, Rob, we call him a rock star all the time, but you know, when you think about Masons in America, generally you know your local guys in your local jurisdiction, right? But you know, the way that we communicate has changed so much in the last 20 years, and especially in the last 10 years. And you know, everybody's got Facebook, and all of a sudden, guys that we wouldn't have even hardly known Rob, or the guys in other states, and all of a sudden you know people all around the country that are Freemasons, and you know your friends on Facebook, and you email with them, and it's so easy to communicate these days. You know, our boundaries are just growing. We discovered, you know, Rob quite a few years ago, and the guys in Colorado, I call them the Colorado Mafia when they're not around. But, you know, at one time, these guys still are, but especially at one time when Enlightenment 198 was really blowing up, they really were an inspiration especially for the traditional observance movement, but really for Masonry all across the country. And when that was all going on, I discovered them, and I didn't discover them, but you know they were accessible to us in North Carolina, and it started a movement in North Carolina that is continuing to grow and flourish. And so, you know, by proxy, Rob and the Mafia out there and the 198 guys have had a huge influence on things that are going on in many other states, and especially here in North Carolina. Rob, let's talk about Enlightenment 198 and how that lodge came about being and your part in that. Sure.
And then we'll talk about how it influences.
So just kind of historical background. Before Enlightenment Lodge, we have three lodges meeting in Colorado Springs in one building. And, you know, back then I was a district lecturer, so it was sort of my job. I have, you know, control over, you know, managing these three lodges' ritual work and stuff. So I'm kind of an inspector, or I don't know what you guys call them out here. We call them district lecturers. So I had, you know, gone through the chairs, my home lodge there, which was Tejon 104, and I was master of that. And then I got asked to become a district lecturer for the local lodges there. So I got to meet a lot of the guys that, funny enough, even though we met in the same building, we met on different nights. So We just weren't that connected. But I started meeting these other brothers that way. And through, parking lot conversations and, down having a drink in the basement or whatnot, having a cigar outside.
We don't do that here.
We don't do that. That's the running joke is sometimes more masonry happens out in the parking lot than what happens in the building. But, you get out there and that's where some of the complaints and the frustration come out. And, several guys were to the point where they were literally ready to leave masonry because they had, to start with, they had a poor initiatic experience. They were experiencing poor ritual, and they were just frustrated with the general problems that masonry was, and to some extent still is, experiencing, like poor ritual work, too many guys getting rushed through the degrees and coming in, which was causing problems of, all of a sudden sad state of affairs. You got some guys that really don't belong in lodge who are in lodge and become in charge of things, and we're causing problems. There's a lot of drama. So there were several of us, myself included, who were considering leaving masonry altogether because we got so disillusioned with sort of the hypocrisy of everything. So long story shorter, a breakfast club was started between guys, mostly between these three lodges who were getting together and wanted to create a new, better experience. And I hate to say better because, to some extent, I'm happy with other lodges having their own culture. We just wanted our own thing. So we wanted something, I guess I should better say, as different, a different culture. We wanted a different culture. So we started meeting as a breakfast club, and we really didn't know how to go about things. We just knew that we wanted something absolutely different. So that went on for a little while. We had some, breakfast club meetings, and then we decided to turn that into sort of a little bit more formal thing and make it a club actually, and have some guys pay some dues as a club to sort of get some blood money in there like that, and get vested into this interest of at some point creating a lodge. And so that was part of the process. And right along this time, we found that we had heard about this observant masonry, a traditional observant masonry movement. And we found some writings of people like Dennis Chornyanky, who was involved in some of the early aspects of this. And we'd found some other lodges had already blazed a trail because we sure weren't the first to go on the traditional observant path. So we found a lot of resources online, looked into best practices and whatnot ourselves. We held a formal club meeting where we actually flew Dennis Chornyanky in, and he gave us the best practices lecture at the time. And he actually, he kind of, he did a great job with us in forcing us to do some things that we didn't feel like we were ready to, because we didn't quite have that confidence. But he sort of forced us to do some things that made us take that leap of faith. And long story short, this process that we thought was going to be maybe a 5-year process and getting to dispensation, we wound up doing it only in about 8 months. All of a sudden, we were operating under dispensation, and almost exactly 1 year later, we were chartered, and it was just boom, boom, boom. So that's really sort of the history of enlightenment. We went through those pains and processes of trying to decide and come to an agreement about what is the culture that we wanted to create. What lodge experience did we want? And to be honest, again, like I said, a lot of those ideas came from pains that we experienced in our old home lodges, frustrations, pains, and just desires for something different and something that for us was more fulfilling.
When we started our traditional observance lodge, prior to that, I just thought it would be impossible. I didn't thought there was no chance that we can start a lodge with observant practices and that was completely different, because you hear a lot of naysayers saying, the Grand Line won't put up with that, and you just can't do it.
But all you got to do is have a little faith and a little hard work, and you'd be amazed at the things that you can pull off. I mean, not just Observant Lodges. In life in general, guys want to sit around and bitch and moan about all the stuff that's wrong, and if you will get off the couch and go work on it, you'd be amazed at what you can pull off and what you can fix. How's that?
It's perfect.
So you got enlightenment up and rolling. And so I understand that you guys were, I think you said the 5th or 6th Observant Lodge, maybe around
at the time. There was about 6 others.
But what you guys did that was different was you guys marketed yourself. I guess Facebook was coming along about that time, or was really popular, and so you guys were very vocal about it and very out there with your masonry, which was both good and bad, right?
Absolute double-edged sword.
Yeah. So it reached a lot of people, and all of a sudden a lot of people said, what is this? What is this crazy new concept in masonry? I got to get me some of that. And you guys became kind of a beacon for everybody. Let's talk a little bit about, I don't want to get bogged down in the observant practices, but just in case anybody's watching this and hadn't watched every other episode we've ever done where we talk about observant masonry, just real quickly tell folks what observant masonry is, traditional observance.
Well, again, it's different things to different people because, and that's the way I feel that it ought to be. Everybody deserves to have their own culture, even within observant masonry. I've traveled to and visited several of the other observant lodges, and again, everybody sort of has their own flavor. To us, it was really about having an education-based experience, both for the candidates, because this is highly candidate-focused, and to the individual members or the group, as a collective or an egregore. So a lot of our beginning theories for all of this was the members would write papers, we'd have discussions, we would have a very nice meal at the end of the night after the lodge experience, where we would have these Socratic discussions and really try and practice and hone rhetoric again. Because there was another thing that we felt that was lacking in lodge environments. We were all sick of the arguments, and we wanted to turn that back into the debate, the rhetoric, and being able to really get into some deep discussions of things, even if we disagreed. But we found fun in that. We found fulfillment in that. And so the Enlightenment experience really was about that, about never initiating more than one man in a day, or passing or raising any more than one man in a day, and trying to make that day and that experience as absolutely focused on him and celebratory as we could. It's like his birthday. We go pick up candidates in limousines, and we dress up, and that man feels. His neighbors think he's getting married again or something.
So as part of all this, you guys were bringing in national level speakers, and you guys budgeted for that?
Absolutely. So early part of the process was trying to figure out, because we had a higher dues structure, which was meant and geared towards that. We knew that creating this fulfilling experience, after we decided, we want A, B, and C, and A was education, and B, that meant bringing in these other speakers, because we all get sort of used to each other, and it's really good to bring in an outside speaker and perspective, whether that even is another Freemason or not. Some of our early speakers weren't even Freemasons. We had a physicist from Rutgers come in, Dr. Casey Blood, and discuss the physical aspect that researchers are looking for between connections with the soul and the body. So that was sort of one of our first experiences of bringing in a national level speaker or international speakers, and just making a big event out of this.
And you marketed it.
Well, yes, because we didn't want it to be just a local thing that we were coveting and then only have 10 guys show up. We definitely wanted this to be an experience for us, but we wanted to share it. And, getting more guys there even builds the egregore even more, and is more fulfilling both for us and the speaker. So we often try to, throw this out there as a statewide event or even a national level event, because we have so many guys that see us on Facebook, and they say, wow, can I come to that? Or I want to come to an Enlightenment event.
To be sure, a guy would not get on an airplane and fly to one Masonic Lodge meeting to see some dude talk, would they?
Absolutely. We have it all the time.
We
we've had guys from everywhere, come. We've flown in speakers like Graham Hancock, and we had guys from out of state drive, fly, whatnot to get there to listen to Graham Hancock speak at our lodge event.
A lot of guys.
I
did. I got on the airplane and flew to Colorado just to see your lodge event. Peter Taylor was speaking there.
Peter Taylor came, at that time, yeah.
Peter, I hope you're watching, brother. We miss you.
Absolutely.
Great dude. He's a great dude.
It's just like you were saying earlier, with the advent of all this technology, Facebook and all this kind of stuff, it really has made the world an even smaller place. Not that it was not a tiny place to begin with, but that just made the world a really small place now that everybody can connect internationally. I have friends all over the world, literally. Some of them I have yet to meet in person, but I have had the wonderful opportunity to meet many of them in person now, and it's just fantastic. It really expands your, I hate to sound a little fruity here, but your Masonic vessel, how that expands, and then that allows for even more fulfillment and enlightenment.
So you guys were, marketing yourselves, sort of. That's probably not the right word, but y'all were very out there with what you were doing, which made you both a beacon for the guys that wanted to, emulate that, and also for some guys that didn't like it so much.
Absolutely. Sort of put a target on us. It doesn't, for us, it wasn't coming from a egotistical standpoint or, in your face, here, look what we're doing. It's always from the standpoint of we just want to share. There are so many brothers out there who are kind of just on islands, and they feel so alone, they feel frustrated, and we wanted to show them, look, here's what's possible. So it wasn't sort of an in your face or, hey, look at us, we're tooting our horn all over the place. It really wasn't that. It's not the ego speaking. It really is, we want to share this. We were so excited that we had found, because we didn't make this from on our own, really. We had so much help. We wanted to share this model that was a success. It was a successful model. For decades, you've been hearing guys ask this question of what can we do? What can we do? What can we do? What can we do to fix Freemasonry? Here it is. Now, it's not the fix for everybody, but this is an absolute working model. But again, back to that target, some of the people that just, for whatever reason, they don't like this, they don't like the model, which that's fine. But putting ourselves out there a little bit in this, whatever you want to call it, advertising or marketing or our sharing of our events and stuff, did put a kind of a target on our back, and there was some drama over that, and there always will be. But
so, do you have a feel for how many lodges, observant lodges, may have popped up as a direct result of y'all being so open with what you were doing?
Well, there's guys all the time that say, hey, you and your lodge was our inspiration. That happens all the time. I travel around, and other people like Tim Hogan and Cliff Porter have traveled around and assisted these groups who are saying, we want what you have. We want to try that model, that successful model that you guys have. And we travel around a lot and help people with that. Sometimes they're successful. There's new observant lodges popping up all the time. And sometimes, unfortunately, they don't work out for whatever reason. And we help those guys manage that also, because even if it doesn't work the first time, maybe there's a different approach that they can take. Sometimes you run into problems with creating a new lodge because there are so many hoops and things that you have to jump through to create a new lodge. And maybe then you need to just focus on trying to make the changes that you want in your current lodge or whatnot. So just really try and help. That's all we want to do is help people.
We had a huge discussion about this. It was one of the things that we never really wrapped our arms around when we started Sophia. On one hand, we felt like because it was different and it was new and we knew some people probably wouldn't be digging that very much, we wanted to keep it small and not market very much. Just go over in our lodge and do our thing and
fly under the radar.
And Larry was Thompson, our master at Sophia for the last couple of years, was pretty adamant about that. He said Masonry is really about doing your thing with your guys, your group and your egregore that you build, and that's the way that a lodge should be. And I think he's right mostly, and that is kind of the way that we went. We kind of wound up and struck a balance between the two. And we started a Facebook page that was supposed to be just for our group. It was going to be just the Sophia guys have a Facebook page, like a closed group or a whatever they call it.
Secret or closed.
And then we let a guy in, and next thing you know, we got a pretty big following because we're posting stuff up all the time, interesting things that are interesting to observant style Masons that other guys aren't so down with. But you do have to ask to be on there. But we got wound up with a bunch of guys. I'm getting off the point here. The point was that the other side of the argument was, I think we have an obligation as Masons, if we find something that works and that we really like, to share it with other guys like you guys were doing. If you guys had not been open, there were other observant lodges in America at the time, but they were kind of closed, right? Or they kept to themselves, which is fine. But when you guys went public, open, then it spurred the movement more. And not just the movement, it made Masonry better for a lot of guys across the country as they began to either pick up your practices or actually build traditional observant lodges. And Enlightenment, for whatever reason, and you can talk about it or not, is not as open as they once were. Used to see them everywhere on Facebook and other places, TSS. And now all that's kind of, y'all are kind of out of the national limelight. And there's really nobody that's open nationally that you can go see all the really cool things that we're doing. Like with us, if you're on our Facebook page, you can. But really, we don't really try and put all that out there. Hey, look, we're doing this. Hey, look, we're doing that. Look how cool this is. Look how cool that is. Which works for us, but it's not helping anybody else. I'm not suggesting that we should start doing that, because I think Larry's right. It works better when you keep it small. When you get in the national spotlight, I'm sure there's problems that come along with that none of us really need. We love what we've got, and we're going to keep it small. But somebody needs to do it. Some observant lodge out there needs to be open and public and become that beacon that y'all once were. And I guess you still are, but you're not. You know what I'm saying? You're not out there in the way that you used to be. How do you feel about all that?
And we're thankful that you were. I mean, we're very thankful that you were.
I appreciate it.
It's unbelievable. I think your description, your analogy was spot on. There's guys that were they were on an island, and they just felt they knew that there was so much more. And I'll never forget Ben stumbled across you guys, and he sent me a text or called me and said, "Hey, you need to check this out." And next thing I know, I'm watching you walk into a lodge room, and I was just blown away. And but I felt just like you were describing. I was on and several guys in North Carolina, several of us felt that way, that we were on that island. And this is really, it really opened up a lot of different things, and we appreciate you guys taking the time back then to do all that.
Yeah, and so please tell the guys at Enlightenment that I don't know how much you get told this, but we really owe everything that we've got here. At least started with you guys. I mean, we did. There was a lot of guys that did a lot of work to get it off the ground, but the inspiration came from out there. So be sure your guys know that we appreciate it.
Absolutely, will do. I appreciate it. To your point, to me, it's probably like you get a new phone. What do? You share it with everybody. You show it to everybody. You kind of stick it in everybody's face a little bit, and it's just because you're excited about it, And maybe some people got to that point where maybe it was a little bit of bragging or something, But that's not what it was meant to be. We were just so excited about it, especially when it was new. Now for us, we're 8 years, 9 years down the road now, and the new and shiny has kind of worn off, and we're having issues maybe a little bit around sustainability ourselves, but we're not, it's just that new has worn off, so we're not, putting it out there as much. And a lot of the a lot of the leadership of Enlightenment has changed. So there's just different guys in the position, and not that they're doing anything wrong at all. It's just different guys. So people like Cliff and myself, or other guys, who have the big Facebook followings. We're not posting those things because the new has worn off a little bit. We absolutely still share, when we have big events and all that kind of stuff. We have speakers. We still blast it out there, to the 12,000 people that are the fans of Cliff Porter and Tim Hogan and all that. But it's just not the daily stuff, and it's not the the things like the Table Lodge type stuff, the agape, which it's another thing that's sort of catching on and getting a lot of traction around the country and around the world. But to us now, we've had hundreds of them, and they're not a new thing, so we stopped posting our Table Lodge things. But when they were brand new, I mean, we were throwing that out there, and that was so it's just sort of a natural occurrence, just like I'm saying with my analogy of having a new phone. When you start out the first couple of days, you're showing everybody your new phone. And then, as a couple of weeks go by, it happens less and less, and by the end of the month, you're not showing your phone to anybody anymore.
So TSS has kind of run the same route. Were you involved in TSS?
Yeah, absolutely. I was one of the original owners. So there were 6 of us who basically created that.
Sanctum Santorum. It
The
was
Sanctum
a message
Santorum.
board telling
It was
about
absolutely, what it was. And it's still in existence, and we don't want to talk about it too much in past tense here, because it is still in existence. The sanctumsanctorum.com at its time was the largest Masonic forum on the internet, where you could go as a Mason, and there were lots of, the way forums are, there were lots of rooms or chat sections and whatnot, where you could go and make posts and talk to guys, again, from all over the world. And that's something that just technology-wise has run its course. There are, Facebook is just still sort of the new thing with groups. So there are Facebook groups for all of this stuff. And people just don't go on to forums that much anymore, because there are Facebook groups which have sort of taken over.
But it's still in existence?
It is.
I'm ashamed to admit, I learned a ton of masonry on there.
Absolutely.
I learned so much on there, but I thought y'all took it down.
We didn't. So it got close. As Cliff and myself and the other owners got too busy, and it became almost unmanageable, because it's something that you really kind of have to police. Because again, even Masons are brothers, but a lot of rhetoric has been forgotten over time, and guys get into arguments every once in a while. Sometimes a fellow would post something that's not, even though he might even mean well, it's just not. It doesn't belong on the forum. So you have to have moderators, and on a forum that big, we had over 100,000 threads going at day to day. So it takes a lot of people and a lot of work. And as time went by, and that just sort of dropped off. So we were thinking about closing it, but another brother in Texas decided he'd like to keep it up, just for one part as a depository for all of this awesome communication between brothers, and as a resource for information when somebody wanted to look up something on the staircase. You did a staircase search in there, and there would be like 50 threads come up, and you could learn everything you wanted to learn about the staircase. But not only that, other people's perspective, which is what we found as one of the biggest pluses for a forum is my perspective of a staircase from my jurisdiction, but yours is different, and we can have this discussion and say, well, we do ABC. Oh, well, we do XYZ. And to me, that's just an awesome way to learn, and was one of the biggest pluses for having a forum, which that's still out there. Again, anybody wants to go out there, they can still get on TSS. But now, of course, like I said, technology's sort of changed and society has changed, and now everybody's on Facebook groups, of one form or another. So,
well, I would encourage everybody to go check it out at the sanctumsanctorum.com. Are you on that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, tons of good stuff there. Huh. All right, so let's talk about the Lodge of Living Stones.
okay.
Tell us about how in the world does a boy from Colorado get hooked up with this crowd in Leeds?
Well, like we were saying, Enlightenment Lodge was bringing in speakers from all around the country. And one of our first speakers that we were really excited to have was Worshipful Brother Kirk McNulty.
Love him.
Absolutely. Wonderful, wonderful gentleman. Just a man's man and a mason's mason. He's just fantastic wealth of knowledge. So we flew him into Colorado, and he spent probably about a 4-day weekend with us. Back then, like anything else, you got to kind of manage who's going to take care of the speaker from, day to day. And I had him on a Saturday, and so I'm taking around Worshipful Brother Kirk McNulty, who was my Masonic rock star at the time. I mean, I was just all over him.
He wrote The Way of the Craftsman.
Absolutely.
Highly recommended book, The Way of the Craftsman. Be sure and get that.
Absolutely. And so through discussions with him over breakfasts and lunches and driving down the road, showing him the touristy stuff of Colorado, he said, "You guys are doing a wonderful thing," and he said, "Rob, I get this feel that you're sort of an esoterically minded, Mason that likes to read between the lines and study symbology." And he says, "I got something maybe you'd be interested in." And he began telling me the story of Lodge of Living Stones in Leeds, England. It was started by a group of guys, a small group of guys, not unlike the group that had just started Enlightenment. And one of the main key players in that beginning was the author and pretty well-known historic Mason, Walter Leslie Wilmshurst, of whom, again, is just, I'm a Wilmshurst guy. You find guys who are Pike guys or maybe, Mackey guys. I'm a Wilmshurst guy.
Me too. Amen.
The meaning of Masonry is just one of the absolute treasures of Masonic literature to me, and it really embodies to me, the initiatic experience that our Masons should have and promote. So at any rate, I said, "Wow, yes, that sounds fantastic." And he said, "Would you want to belong to something like that?" And I said, "Well,
hell yeah, boy!"
And I was just, falling all over myself, stumbling and bumbling with words, going, "Yes, sir." And he says, you and Worship Brother Carl Hinkle, who was our master at the time, who actually even later on, just a couple years later, became our Grand Master of Masons in Colorado, fantastic leader, and Cliff Porter and myself, he said, "I want all three of you to consider becoming members of Lodge of Living Stones." And I said, I'd do it right now. Give me, where do I sign? And so he went back home, Washington, D.C., and a couple days later, I get something in the mail, and it's a petition for what's called an associate membership of Lodge of Living Stones. And I had this, I had this talk and discussion with Carl and Cliff, and we were all just all over ourselves excited, about this opportunity and what this, how it made us feel. And I said, are you guys planning on ever attending? And, they were like, "Well, yeah, I'd love to, but, it's in Leeds, England, and I can't get there this year, and I don't know if I get there next year." And I said, "Man, I'm going as soon as possible." And I talked to my wife, Melanie, and she was like, "Let's go." So that fall, this was probably in the spring when this happened, but that fall we scheduled a trip over there, and I wrote a paper and I sent it to Kirk, and it was along the lines of the Initiatic Experience. So that's actually what eventually turned into a book. But I had written this essay about what I felt the Initiatic Experience was and should be, and I sent it to Kirk because he and I had been emailing back and forth. And he said, "Rob, this is fantastic." He says, "I want you to present this in Lodge of Living Stones when you come." No pressure. So, we showed up. They came in.
Because that's what every introvert really wants to do.
Yeah, absolutely. We just had a fantastic time. Melanie and I, we spent a little time in London, took the train up to Leeds, and then, afterwards we wound up taking the train up to Edinburgh, hooking up with Peter Taylor and his wife Tracy. And they came down and gave us the good special tour that only they can give.
Love that.
Out to Rosalind Chapel and all that. But So back to Living Stones. Showed up that night, had an amazing experience. It's one of the best, most fulfilling experiences that I've ever had. That, to me, was a lodge that was Enlightenment Lodge, but 80 years old. They had done the Observant masonry thing, and they were 80 years old. And they're still somewhat ostracized because, in England there's a lot of pomp and circumstance, and, I'm not dissing this other country, like that. That's their own culture. But Lodge of Living Stones really was an esoteric, observant style. I mean, they had incense and all this kind of stuff going, which is not common for English lodges. And their education base and focus was a lot on personal psychology, Jungian psychology, and the esoteric translations of Masonic symbols. And I was just fascinated. But they've been doing that for 80 years, and they were sort of their own little island also. So we had some awesome parallels, and I gained a lot of insight into building in sustainability, hopefully for enlightenment, because I saw and talked to these brothers about their experiences and challenges over an 80-year period.
So this for you spurred two big things for Masons in America. And one was the magazine named Living Stones.
Absolutely.
I'm assuming after the lodge. And the other was the paper that you wrote for the Initiatic Experience that it later turned into a book.
Correct.
So this was a pretty huge deal. So we'd like to throw a shout out to the Lodge of Living Stones in Leeds for what they indirectly did to us. And this is the second time we've talked about a major theme here today where something led to something else. Enlightenment led to, the propagation of observant style masonry in a large way. And now, this one event for you personally led to a book that's touched a lot of people and a magazine that's touched even more people probably. Let's talk about the magazine a little bit. So how'd you come up with the idea? You had all this spare time, I'm assuming, and thought it would be cool to sit around your living room doing copy editing and stapling magazine covers. Is that right?
Oh, yeah, that's exactly how it was. Both the book and the magazine came from the same source, which was my frustration. I was a little frustrated that at the time, Freemasonry did not have its own hard copy magazine. For the biggest group of people that I felt was out there, didn't have their own thing. Now, there's a lot of different things out there, journals and Philalethes and whatnot, wonderful, wonderful things. The Scottish Rite Journal, but some of those things are just quarterly or every other month, and a lot of them have gotten down to where there's a lot of advertisement and very little article, and their themes have sort of changed somewhat, sometimes away from educational things and more experiential things. So I was frustrated, and I thought, how cool would it be to have a hard copy Masonic magazine that was something like what you would maybe see on a magazine rack at your grocery store. I wanted something of that quality, not the stapled together old things of the past, but a modern day, high quality, full color, hard copy magazine. And so that was the inspiration for the magazine. The way I grew up, we didn't have a whole lot of money, so necessity is kind of the mother of invention. You figure it out and you learn how to do it on your own, or it doesn't get done. So I bought some equipment, and my wife and I spent hours in the basement trying to figure out how to make a magazine and make it look like what you would get out of a grocery store. Took a lot of R&D, research and development, and took a lot of, I bought this thing and this thing doesn't work, so I got to buy the other thing.
We know all about that.
You know what? The cheap one didn't work.
Yeah,
Darn it!
right.
Got to go get the more expensive one. Sure enough, for a long time, we put the magazine together in our basement. And I had a lot of surprised people. Not to try and toot my own horn here too much, but we had a lot of people that right off the bat assumed that we were some large publication outfit, because here we were publishing this magazine that looked like it belonged in a grocery store. You know, it was fantastic, and that made me feel good. And you know, word of mouth in Freemasonry is pretty slow, and this isn't something that you go and put on billboards and advertise. So growth was slow. It always is slow, but it's gained traction. We just, you know, June is our anniversary. We created the magazine in June of 2011, and here it is, June 2015. The magazine's going strong. We ship it out to over 30 different countries now.
Wow.
Around the world. I mean, I'm surprised sometimes an order will come in, and I'll look at where it's supposed to go, and I'll be like, man, here I'm a world traveler and I don't know where that is. I'll have to go Google it and look it up and see, honey, come here, look where our magazine is going to go. You know, it's
Very
cool.
cool.
I mean,
Tell them
places
about
like
some of them
Iceland, and
Tell them about some of them having to go in a bag secretly.
so yeah, you know, several people who subscribe to the magazine live in countries where Freemasonry is still illegal or against their religion. And so, you know, especially places right now like Egypt and the Middle East, we have to send the magazine out in a brown paper bag and make sure that it's, you know, covered really well and taped down so that it doesn't arrive and, you know, out a brother and actually put him in danger. So,
wow, we take it so much for granted here in America, don't we, Riley?
It's amazing. I remember the first time that you came and you brought a few copies, and I was skimming through it and I was like, wow, this is amazing. This looks awesome. And I made some kind of comment about maybe you had a building, or this is awesome. You know, you do this, and you were like, no, it's me and my wife. We have it on the dining room table, so we're doing it right now. I thought, whoa. And now, I mean, do you have more people working for you now, or is it just you and your wife still? Or
February of this year, it finally grew so big and so many issues that we could no longer do it ourselves. It's physically impossible. Plus, I hate having to, you know, burn a weekend with the family and ask my wife to, you know, help out with all the physical work, because bless her heart, she does 90% of the actual copy editing, because she is a professional copy editor. She edits you know, medical stuff. So it finally got to the point where I felt bad taking up so much of her time and our time that I finally invested into having another company actually print and distribute it. The magazine's making enough money to support itself that way, and I said, okay, you know, it's finally going to move out of the house. So I still, you know, I'm the chief editor, and she still, you know, copy edits. I put it all together graphically, do all the designing and the chief editing and whatnot, and put it together electronically, and then send out the electronic versions, because it also does come out in PDF and gets distributed that way to some people. But the physical printing and distribution gets done in a company that's owned by a brother in Illinois. So they do that for us now.
very cool.
What are the biggest challenges you've had with the magazine, or having with it? What surprised you?
As always, well, the first one I wasn't too surprised about. It's a natural challenge, and that is fresh content. You know, Masonry only has so many symbols, and you can only talk about them so many times. So that's always been a challenge, is trying to keep it fresh. You know, you can only read so many articles about George Washington before you're just like, yep, I know everything about George Washington, and I don't want to need to know anymore. So that's number one challenge. Number two challenge is actually getting brothers to feel comfortable enough to submit something. You know, you get a lot of guys who say, well, I've always kind of wanted to write something. And I said, brother, do it. You know, I think everybody has some kind of article in them, at least one. You know, there's something that is passionate to you that you can write about. And to go back to the magazine just a little bit, another focus of our magazine is just that. I wanted the magazine to be a medium for brothers to be able to express themselves. And it didn't have to be in a fully structured academic 14 resources for every paragraph type thing. I want to get your opinion. I want to say, Riley, I appreciate you as a brother, and I'm fascinated with the differences of North Carolina. I want a article from you that describes your impression of your initiation ritual or your impression of blah, blah, blah symbol. And therefore, that alone is going to have deep meaning for me. Now, to some people, maybe they're not that way. Maybe they're saying, no, you can't talk like that. You need to, look up real information and get sources and facts and all that kind of stuff. But to me, and since I own the magazine, hey, I want the magazine to have that freedom also to allow that kind of stuff. And that's one of the things that I built into the magazine, is that to be a medium for brothers to express themselves about whatever it is that they're passionate about or frustrated about.
Cool. How do we subscribe?
Very simple. You go onto the log or to the magazine webpage, which is www.livingstonesmagazine.com. Big flashing bar that says subscribe here, and there's only three options. You can subscribe to the hard copy version, which means that you will get a hard copy printed magazine every month. You sign up for 12 issues.
How much that cost?
$50 for a year, so less than $5 an issue, which is, it's very, very affordable.
Best value out there.
It's the cheapest one out there, I think. Last time I checked, it's the cheapest one that's a hard copy that you can get. With the hard copy subscription, you also get the electronic version. So every month you're also emailed a PDF version of it. So, if you're a traveler and you want to stuff the magazine in your bag, you can. If you want to read it on your phone, you can, or your tablet or whatnot. Some guys don't care for the hard copy magazine, so they're just interested in the electronic copy, and you can get that for half the price. So for $25 a year, you can get the electronic copy only subscription. So that makes it, practically less than $3, I think, for an issue, which is, it's just fantastic, I think.
Me too. Everybody subscribe. Brown, can we put that up on when we run this thing? Can we throw up that website?
Without a doubt.
All right, buddy. Okay, so you also have written a book in all your other spare time.
Yeah.
In those other 2 hours you got a day. Tell us about the book.
So again, it was mostly born out of my own personal frustrations and kind of seeing certain academics constantly say, this is where Freemasonry comes from, or Freemasonry has no connection with this, or we have absolutely nothing to do with this. And I was a little frustrated because my perspective, I saw Freemasonry a little different. I didn't think that there was sort of a fountain of creation for Freemasonry. I believe it is an amalgamation of many things and has been created through impressions of many things. So I started my own research because, again, like I said, I was just frustrated at constantly being told that, and there's just something in me, this intuition, that I just didn't believe that. So I started doing my own research, and that's really where the book came from. And I tried to be, I did the natural thing and was academic about it, and I have sources and backing up my theories and whatnot. But it is Rob's, a lot of it, a chunk of it is Rob's opinion and how Rob's theory, kind of spread out. But it's also a great book for new and old Masons alike who want to get a feel for all of those other cultures and civilizations and orders like Rosicrucians and Templars and the Egyptians and the Eleusinians and all these things that had impressions on us, how they impressed Freemasonry, or what were those common threads that we share. So it's sort of concise and succinct in that manner, but it covers, 6,000 years worth of history and philosophy in this one small book is what you get.
Yeah, my impression of it, I haven't read it in a while. I've read it several times, but not real recently. But it's an easy read. It's not some sort of academic, thing that's going to bog you down. It's not Morals and Dogma. It's 5,000 pages. I mean, it's relatively short. It's an easy read, and it's a great overview of initiatic traditions that directly or indirectly or initiatic traditions that either fed into Freemasonry or had some influence on it in one way or the other. So suggest everybody get that. How would they go about getting the book?
Amazon.com or whatever large book distributor they use. It's on books.com, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, whatever. Just the easiest thing is to Google search The Initiatic Experience. The full title is The Initiatic Experience, Ancient Pathways That Led to Your Initiation into Freemasonry. So that's the easiest. So Amazon.com, it was originally on there for $19.80, a little reference to 198. But Amazon has since discounted it, so I believe you can pick it up for about $15.
I think we need to charge more for it. So, sooner or later, you got around to coming to North Carolina, and that kind of came out of, the idea that I went to Colorado to see your lodge and met you guys in person, and Wilkerson College Lodge had, hey girl, Wilkerson College Lodge had been having that. We started funding for national level speakers, and we got you. Hang on, Cassie, say hey to everybody. Ow, 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 girl. So we started funding national level speakers, and you were one of the early ones that we brought over. Very well received, and that started both a friendship for me and you personally, but also for Freemasonry in North Carolina. And since then, you've made many, many trips. Yesterday, we had a symposium, and you were one of the national level speakers that we had. Very well received, and we just want to say, as master of Wilkerson College Lodge, as a member of North Carolina, and as your buddy, I just want to say thank you to you guys for all that you've done for us. All right, girl.
Fantastic pleasure for me. Through the magazine, the book, all of the different lectures and stuff that I give on, from leadership to esoteric lectures, I travel a lot, so now I've kind of gotten to be one of these national level speakers that I travel around a lot. And you guys were sort of one of my first, what I thought was a really successful trip, where I came out and I made not only the lecture, went well, and the logistics of the trip, but I made really good resonating connections with the brethren. There's only a couple of, no matter where you travel, all the experiences have been pretty good. But there's only a certain number that are at like this level where you really connect with the guys, where the brotherhood, the level of fraternity is just it's in a different place than a lot of other places. And I think that is another thing that guys are searching for, is that level of energy and egregore where they go. You guys just have a perfect spot. So anyway, always a pleasure, always an honor, to be asked to come to North Carolina and be with you guys. We've joked all weekend that you're in competition with New Hampshire. The New Hampshire guys have had me out there 4 or 5 times also. And
we're going to take them.
We got this.
We got this. New Hampshire going to have you out there more than us. So I understand you're buddies with like Cliff Porter and Tim Hogan.
Well, sure. Naturally, we're all in the same 45-mile area with each other. Cliff and I live in the same town. We're best friends. We're probably the only 2 guys on the planet who can be best friends with each other. But
because you're complete opposites.
Well, we're complete opposites, but both of us, we've been told we're a little abrasive sometimes when it comes to people and socially awkward. So we're kind of each other's best friend out of necessity. Maybe a little. But Tim, of course, obviously is just a fantastic guy, highly intellectual, and, of course, another great speaker, great writer. And having, the three of us in a small area, we love to do stuff. And, people say they love us, so thankfully there's, something, we're doing something right. To me, all I try and do is share my own experiences, which for whatever reason, a lot of people, it tends to resonate with them, what Rob does and even Rob's mistakes. So I try and share my stuff as much as possible. And I know, Cliff and Tim are a lot of the same way. We're just transparent people. We want everybody to have a chance that if what we're doing is something that's relatively new or something, whether we do the right thing or the wrong thing, or we mess up, we just want to share that with everybody. So hopefully everybody else can learn. And if I can inspire somebody along the way, that just makes my day.
So what advice do you have for guys out there that are not lucky enough to be close to an Observant Lodge, either an Observant Lodge, I don't want to keep beating that horse to death, but they're unhappy with their Masonic experience that they've had so far. And they're in the same position that you were, where you're just really frustrated and thinking about either walking away altogether or just this isn't what they signed up for. What do you suggest that they do?
That's a really tough question. I actually get that a lot. And it's kind of an individual case-by-case thing. But what I usually typically tell them is, just like individual relationships, people treat you how you allow them to treat you. And if you're having a lodge experience that you don't like, and there's enough of you that don't like it, don't take it. Vote with your feet. Don't go. But if there's something that, especially someone who is trying to make change, support them. Vote with your feet. Go to their events. But back to that single guy, though, on an island who might not have the support, who might not be in a lodge where there are a lot of other men who want his idea of lodge culture. My idea to them, or my advice to them, is study at your house. Freemasonry isn't brick and mortar. Freemasonry is fraternity, and you can get that even, if you have to, over the internet with other like-minded Freemasons. Turn more inward. Study, buy books, read. You can get a lot of fulfillment Masonically from education, from your own personal enlightenment, which I believe is one of the big focuses of Freemasonry anyways, and it's that internal, not the external kind of stuff. Internal transformation. Work on yourself. Don't worry about the others. Set up a little temple in your home of some kind, a chamber of reflection, or just an area of your house where you have your library and your sacred space, and turn that into your Masonic experience.
What do you think is the role of the past master? What should past masters not do or do?
Wow, I didn't see that question.
Well, I just made it up.
I'm not prepared about that one.
Just made it up.
I do believe past masters should obviously support a current master, and not try and push his agenda onto the other. But I believe that's a support role, and also sort of maybe even a historian type role, where he gives advice to the next guy or other guys in the line, the other officers, to give them just some context of the reason we're doing A, B, and C is because whatever. This rule or this action is born out of this frustration or this challenge or this problem, and to give them a feel for really what they're doing. And for the immediate past master, he's just really there to support the new guy, and the new guy just says, "Hey, I just don't know what protocol is here. What do I do?" And you're right there with him to help him out, or to give him some sort of historical context of, "Hey, buddy, why are we doing this? Oh, well, I can tell you 3 years ago it was because ABC."
Yeah. I think the past masters have a tremendous influence, either for they can either work for good or for evil.
Absolutely.
maybe not evil, but we push guys through the line so fast. It seems like many times you have a guy that's not been around for 7 whole years. He's skipped a few chairs, at least in this part of the world that happens a lot. And they wind up not real confident in themselves because they hadn't been in masonry that long. And then past masters can really help that or really hurt that in a young, not so confident master.
I always try and take the positive bent, but there's that kind of stigma of the past grandmaster or past masters on the sidelines who are just they're the Statler and Waldorf from the Muppet Show, the two old guys that are just cranky as hell up there going, "You crossed in between the great lights," and they're just ready to pounce on you. And of course, we don't like to view those guys that way. We want to view them with love and respect, and think positively about the concept of their what they did and what they can offer the upcoming officers.
We just all need to be our own little enlightenment for young guys that are coming along. I mean, we all need to be that guy that's supportive. Tim Parker always says, be a mentor for somebody.
You bet.
And you're our mentor. Rock star. Well, Rob, we really appreciate you coming here to do the symposium for us. We appreciate you sitting for this podcast, which I know you did not want to do. You did it because you were our buddy. But we really appreciate you, and we appreciate you doing this. Riley, you got anything to add before we roll it up out of here?
Just really appreciate you doing it. Again, always a rock star in our eyes. So,
hey, thank you guys so much, and a big shout out to the North Carolina Grand Lodge for allowing you guys to do your thing and be that inspiration for the others. So, thank you guys.
Damn right.
We'd like to thank you guys for listening to this episode of 357 Productions special interview with Brother Rob Hurd. For more information and productions, please visit us and like our Facebook page at 357 Productions. You may also email us at 357productionteam@gmail.com. And remember, always tell somebody that you love them, and we meet on the level and part on the square.